we just wanted to ask Scott some questions about his experience with doing it and what kind of suggestions or comments he has for others that want to try to do the same. How did the whole dream start for you? How did it all come about?
Right. So a little bit of background about myself. I have an engineering background, from a university, mechanical engineering, and I've always been interested in working with things. I grew up around motorsports, ATVs and dirt bike racing. I've always wanted to build something that was fast and loud and kind of out of the ordinary. So originally I said one day, well, okay, I've got the resources to do it. I have the money, I have the time, and I have a workshop to do this. Those are the three main things you really need to do something like I did. And so once I had that together, I said, okay, well, now let's just figure out what it is I want to build. So I started out doing my own design that was, just an original tubular chassis car design. And once I started getting into the meat of the design, looking at other cars to use as references, to get ideas from, I kept coming back to the Ariel Atom just because the way the chassis and frame is designed, it's very well thought out in the way that everything is integrated, the way the tubes flow and connect and hold the engine bay and hold all suspension components. It's a very seamless design. So I said, okay, well, I'll just do that, and just did my best to make it kind of my own version. There's not much that is very similar to it besides the looks. All the other specs and details of all the little pieces is basically all my own design.
So you went through and you did all the CAD work, right?
Right.
You created a website, your modernkitcar.com.
Yep.
And people can see there what you've accomplished. So what has been the three most difficult parts of the build, would you say?
For one, fiberglassing. Just the process of doing it, making plugs and making molds and then finally getting your part. It's just a really long, drawn-out process, and it really takes a long time, and it's like doing body work. You really have to pay attention to the details.
Right.
And so it's messy, it's expensive, but welding the frame is difficult.
Yeah.
I ended up welding it with a MIG welder first.
Okay.
And got most of the joints done with that. It is really, really difficult to get into all the joints with a TIG welder, especially if you're using a foot pedal.
Right.
With more technical details, but that's one thing I would prefer to do if I did something again, would do TIG welding on everything. It's just much more cleaner. You don't get spatter. It's a much more precise weld.
Yeah.
Much more professional looking.
Okay, so how long has it been since you started the whole project? Your car.
Yeah, so it's been pretty much 3.5 years.
How many hours would you guess you've put into it?
I would say it's been pretty much a full-time job, so I'm estimating at least 5,000 hours.
Is that right? Wow.
Over the 3.5 years.
Wow.
If my math is correct.
You're pretty much done now, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty much done with the project. I'll be updating it on the website shortly. I've got
what
a track.
engine did you go with?
The engine is a GM Ecotec.
Okay.
It's LNF version of the Ecotec. So it's turbocharged from the factory. It's rated at 200 horsepower and 200 foot-pounds of torque from the factory.
Right. And what do you guess that it's cost you so far then to do the project?
It's not a cheap project. It's probably between 20 to 30 grand.
Okay. So I guess the last question, if you were able to purchase a complete rolling chassis of this thing for under 10K, would that bring the value to you?
Yeah, for under 10K, that's a steal. If people can buy them for 10,000, even 20,000 is a steal, really.
Well, listen, Scott, I couldn't agree more. That's our whole mandate of our company, is to try and make it affordable for the do-it-yourselfer that wants to build it. You know,
Right.
there's a couple of buddies or father and son or daughter that want to take the time and build something together that they can cherish the memories of doing it. And because you'll never be able to replace the memory of all the work you put into that and the accomplishment.
Yeah, definitely. Whether you build it from scratch like I did, or assembling it as a assembly as your offering, yeah, it's still an awesome thing to step back and look at it, and yeah, it's really cool.